Well, hello and welcome to the Father and Son Network live show called Done by Some. Welcome, Patrick. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
You know, I'm always doing great. Fathers and sons, we're about fathers and sons having real conversations that matter to make an impact on the world. Real conversations done by some. My son and I will be having impactful and engaging conversations with other fathers and sons. We are currently looking for fathers and sons to be guests on the show. So if you would like to be a guest on the show, please either respond here, send an email or text message. We'll have that information in the comments and scrolling across the screen. If you know a father and son we should interview, tag them, share with them this message. So again, welcome Patrick to the show. You guys, I want you to welcome my son to the show. So go ahead and type in the comments, welcome. You got to make these young people feel good, right? Okay. So go ahead and type welcome.
So make me feel good.
So let me introduce some of you to Patrick Jamal LaFleur, in case you don't know him. As I said, he's my son, but he's so much more than that. Patrick was born in Melbourne, Florida. He spent his early years in Palm Bay, Florida, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Gurnee, Illinois, all over the place. Patrick is an athletic young man. He's always engaged in sports. Growing up, he played basketball, football, and he ran track. He played football at Cypress Woods High School in Cypress, Texas, and then he went on to play wide receiver at Texas A&M Kingsville. He is currently employed by 𝗺𝗵𝗃𝗄. Now, they are the leading provider of technology and services to the energy industry across the world. They specialize in reservoir characterization, drilling, production, and processing, and offer the most comprehensive range of products and service in the industry. Now, basically, they are a technology company that partners with customers to access energy. They represent over 160 different nationalities in over 120 different countries. And 𝗺𝗵𝗃𝗄 is about a $23 billion company. So as you can see, Patrick is an amazing young man whom I get the pleasure of calling my son. Now, I like what Biddulph said, Patrick. He says, to be a good man, you first need to see a good man or two. Now, you've seen a good man.
Yeah, Heinz Ward is pretty good.
Say that again. Let me take him off my show. So Patrick, I'm so excited that we are put this show together, the Father and Son Network, a show called Done by Some. I'm so excited that we put this show together for our audience, and hopefully we're able to bring some good content to them. What about yourself?
Yeah, I liked it. It was a good idea. You came to me and said we should do something together, and we thought about a podcast. You already had some things going on, and we're like, let's just do it. The name Done by Some we've always had that. It was our little thing that we had together. Coming from high school, you always told me growing up playing football, I was always the smallest. I wasn't ever the fastest. Sometimes I was the quickest. I usually had the best hands, but that's besides the point. But you always told me only some people do what they can do. There's only some people that are at the top, and that's that 1%. So that's when you said, look, done by some. And everywhere I went, whether it's high school, college, and now in the career portal, is done by some, because only some people are doing the things that they need to do today.
Absolutely. In order to be the best, you have to operate and be ready to do those things that most people are not willing to do. So it's always done by some. So, on this show, Patrick, we're going to have a lot of conversations. And folks, I'm telling you, we want to have real conversations with fathers and sons. Unfortunately, Patrick, fathers and sons don't talk a lot. right? And in some households, fathers and sons don't talk at all. Some households, sons don't have a father. I didn't know my biological father until I was 48 years old, right? Now, my grandfather was awesome. Loved him. I grew up with my grandparents and my mother. So that relationship, I still remember the relationship with my grandfather and how important it was to me. And I still remember some of the conversations he and I had those many, many years ago. So this is why we want to have this show, fathers and sons having real conversations. So for you, Patrick, what does this mean to you in terms of fathers and sons having real conversations?
You know, when you first came to me, I was actually pretty excited. To be honest, I was really excited. I was like, yes, like this will be cool. Get to interview people, get to just be on the show, and just you could say that you have your own podcast and just tell people about it and say, look, you should listen to the show and everything. So just getting your name out there was a really big thing for me, because I love to network with people. I love to be out there with people, big crowds and all that. So this was it's a real good opportunity for me, and I'm really gonna enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, let me tell you what, folks, and see, this is another reason I'm going to have conversations, real conversations, because I'm an extrovert person, you could say, but I'm not the big crowd person. And my son he's an extrovert and he's the big crowd person, right? So you can see, growing up right in the same household, everybody has their own personality and style. Although we're a lot alike, we're a lot different as well. We're going to have those conversations, and we're going to talk about, some of the things that I want us to talk about on the show, Patrick, are things that are important things every son needs to hear from their dad. And one of the things I remember, Patrick, I don't know if you remember this, but I've told the story before. We were living in Palm Bay, Florida, and you and your friends and Tressa were playing outside in the driveway. And you know how you guys always played right in our driveway. And I walked out to the garage and I called you over, and you were, I don't know, knee high to a duck. And one of the things I said, so what are you doing? He said, we're playing. And I said, do you know you're special? And your eyes got that big and you said, I'm special? And I said, yes. And that moment stuck with me. It's going to stick with me forever, to see that expression on your face when I said you're special. Those are the moments that fathers cherish and look forward to. I didn't know what the impact was going to mean to you at the time, but I said it. I meant it, but I also said it. I want to see what your reaction was, and your reaction was, wow. It was like this light bulb moment came on and says, oh, I'm special. Now, you probably don't remember that, right?
No.
All right. But as you hear that story, because you've heard me say that before, as you hear that story, what do you think?
I mean, it's good to hear. I'm glad you're positive. Because you started out being positive very early, and that carried on throughout all my life, essentially. Like I'm a pretty positive person, I like to think. But just hearing that now, and what I'm thinking is just like, it's just positive. Like it's hard for me to explain, because it's just that positive thinking started so early that now it's just like everything I can see the light at the end of the tunnel for everything. I can see the high side and all my work, all the work in the background that I'm doing. So it just carries throughout your whole life when you're saying it when you're so young, just starting out young and just growing.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, and that's the one thing, whenever you have children, is what I want you to carry on to your children, is telling them positive things, right? You're gonna always have some things that you fail at, right? Some things that you're not that good at, right? But it's looking at, or some things that don't work out for you the way you wanted to, but it's looking at the silver lining there. What's the lesson learned? And also just having positive affirmations over and over and over again, right? Some of the other things we're going to talk about is a topic, things that every dad and son must do together at least once. Now, on this list, now I didn't put this list together, but I saw the list and I said, wow, this is going to be something interesting, right? Now look, audience, I told you we're going to have real conversations. Patrick will tell you, I'm not the go pick up the hammer, the screwdriver. That's just not my
not at all.
That's not my deal. If I go pick it up, it's because I'm giving it to somebody else. But it's I saw some of the things on there and I was like kind of laughing. I was like, well, yeah, I probably didn't show that, but here's what I did do, right? And that's the wonderful thing about fathers and sons. It's showing the things that you are capable of showing, and being okay with there's some things that you're just not good at. It's just not you, and you don't have to try to fake it until you make it type thing, right?
Yeah, but people acknowledging that is the hard part. Even for me, it's hard to acknowledge you're not good at something because you always want to be good at something.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I embrace that. It is what it is. And look, folks, when I was growing up, my the guy who I thought was my father was a mechanic, and he would work on cars at the drop of a hat. He could be in a suit and somebody bring up their car and say, hey, something's wrong with it. He'd jump right under the car. My grandfather always worked on his lawnmowers and his truck and all that type of stuff, and he would try to show me. My uncles all worked on vehicles, and they were all mechanically inclined, and they would try to show me. And when they turned their head, looking down at what they're working on, I'd look away like I'm trying to get. I figured out how I can get out of this because I didn't want my hands getting dirty with all that stuff, and I wasn't interested in that. I remember, Patrick. So there's a spark plug, and you would take the spark plug off the lawnmower and you'd say, okay, well, maybe I can get some more life out of this spark plug. And you'd clean off the end of the spark plug, and he had a brush. My grandfather had a brush to clean it off and all this type of stuff. And then he put it back in and test it out, and it would work. And he would try to show me, how to do that. Look, that was just not me.
Not my thing. Honestly, it's not me either. But I feel like I have to learn. So I learned that stuff from other people.
Yeah, well, I know how to do it. I just don't care to do it. And just like cutting grass, I grew up cutting grass. And I don't think you've ever cut the grass, right?
No.
Yeah, okay. Some people say, well, how is your son going to know how to cut the grass? And my philosophy is, well, he's going to learn how to turn the lawnmower on and push the mower. It's not hard knowing how to cut grass. It's just pushing the mower in a straight line, and you see where the grass needs to be cut, and you cut it, right?
Or I just make sure that I have enough money to pay somebody else to do it and not have to worry about it.
There you go. That's it right there, right? So, in fact, you were born in 92, and in 90, we moved in our new house in 92, and in 93, I was cutting the grass, and I saw the guy cutting a lawn service cutting my neighbor's yard. I went out in the backyard, and we had the patio where you guys would play, and I went out there and I asked him, I said, so how much you charge to cut? And he looked at my yard and he says, it's going to be $20. And I was like, well, when can you start? He said, well, how about today? I was like, boom. You got it. You got it. So
left the lawnmower in the yard, just walked inside like I'm done.
Exactly. Yeah. Can you haul that lawnmower off for me, please? But no, I didn't tell him to haul the lawnmower off on me. But what I did do is when we moved from Florida to Dallas, I told you, Mom, just sell the lawnmower. Don't have the movers, put that in the truck. And yeah. But so we're going to be talking about some of those things, real conversations with real fathers and sons. We're going to be talking about those things on the show. Some of the other things we're going to talk about, we talk about strained father-son relationships, right? That happens. And how do you overcome that strain, is that difficulty in a relationship? Some people get like this and they never get unstuck. We want to help you have real conversations so that you can get unstuck. Patrick, for you, what's important to you in a father-son in our relationship?
Just spending that quality time. Just like, for example, going to the Steelers games. We travel to Pittsburgh and just go to the game and just hang out and talk and maybe have a drink or so and just be together.
And just so you know, he's older than 21. Okay.
Just be together, talk, hang out, just like we're friends. And that's really what's important to me, is that quality time and just being together. Like playing video games when I was younger, even though I know how to beat everybody. That type of stuff is kind of what gets to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had days where I would play the video games, and I have days where I don't want to play the video games. But yeah, I agree with you that bonding time is important. I absolutely loved the trip. We went to Pittsburgh and, went to the game, and we're still trying to make him a full-fledged Steelers fan. His application is still in review. But some of the other things we're going to talk about. Well, let me ask you this. We'll talk more about this when we get to strained relationships. But I don't know, that we've ever had a strained relationship except for the one time you got punished in high school. But we've never had a strained relationship. And so when you hear these strained father-son relationships, can you relate to that? You not relate to it? What do you think about it?
Yeah. You might not think we had some strange relationship.
Yeah, I did.
There are things that I didn't really like, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to like some of the things your parents do because you're a kid and you think you know everything. But I think it's part of it. And like you said before, you're either going to get closer or you're going to go farther apart. And hopefully you get closer in that situation, because like now, later on, you're actually talking about it, because when you're in the situation, you don't really want to talk about it. And you're like, just get away from me. But now that you talk about it, I think now it'll bring you closer, and you kind of understand where you're coming from, seeing the things that you were seeing, because you have been there before. I have. You used to always ask me, have you been 28 before? Have you been 30 yet before? When I was 18, I'm like, no. You're like, exactly. I'm like, well, okay, I didn't know what it meant then, but now I do. But
Yep, I definitely used to ask them that question all the time, because like you're saying, and I agree, youth and inexperience gives you a different lens versus when you're older and wiser and have been through some things.
Yeah.
Right. And hopefully those things will help you carry on to your son, and you're going to eventually be saying those exact same things to your kids. Have you ever been 28 before?
Yeah, and it just makes you even more mad when you're in that situation. You're like, oh my gosh. Like, you can't even say anything.
Real conversations, folks, with real fathers and sons. You're listening to Done by Some with Cedrick and Patrick LaFleur. Again, we are excited to bring this show to you. And let me tell you when the show is going to air, just so you know that. So the show is going to air on every other Saturday from 9 a.m. From 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So we'll start the very first show of topics February 5th, and then we'll come back on the 19th. So you see, we'll skip a week, and so it's really going to be twice a month, right? So you can almost say the first Saturday and the third Saturday in the month. Sometimes it may get off a little bit, but February 5th and then February 19th. Then we'll come back in March and the same thing, March 5th, March 19th, and then April we'll skip that next week in March, and then we'll come back that following week. But it'll be Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time. Well, Patrick needs you to share this. It's going to be live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. And we want you to share this with your friends, share this with fathers, share this with sons, share this with anyone who you think needs to hear real conversations between fathers and sons. Anything you want to add to that, Patrick?
No. Share. It's gonna be
Awesome.
We're gonna have some good conversations, and some of them might get really deep, but I think it'll be useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna be authentic. We're gonna be real, get deep on some of them, and we're gonna have some fun as well. We want you to laugh, right? There's not gonna be any crying over here. We want you to laugh, and I can't ask Patrick anymore when the last time he's been 25 or 28 because he's those now, but he's never been 35 yet. But the most important way fathers influence their sons is simply by spending time with them. Sort of like what you said earlier, right? If a dad works but still carves out time to be with and play with and be with his children, it can create this special feeling and a special bond. They feel worthwhile knowing that even though daddy is busy, he's willing to spend some time with you. Do you agree with that, Patrick?
Oh yeah, you pretty much were at all my games, even though you worked a lot. You're traveling a lot too, so
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely important. A lot of people I know can't, for some reason or another, their employer, their boss or whatever, their manager, leader, supervisor, whatever, won't allow them to leave work or whatever. But here's what I tell people: that's not the environment you want to be in. You need to go find an environment that's going to be open to those things. So Patrick, tell me when, I made pretty much every one of your games. There are a couple that I missed, but for you, what does that mean when you look up in the stands, you see your parents there, or specifically your father there?
Well, honestly, there's so many people in the stands I didn't even know you were there or not until after the game.
Sure.
To be honest, but it makes you feel good. It makes you know that somebody actually cares, even though there's all these other people that might know your name or might not or whatever. You just know that at least your dad and your mom, or if you have siblings too, and they're there to see you, so you want to perform for them, not just yourself. So it's that support. I think that was really huge.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And what I would tell parents is this: your kids are only going to be kids for a short amount of time. You don't want to miss out on all those experiences, those times where they come off the field and boom, they did a great job and they can hug you and you can say, congratulations. You don't want to miss those moments where there's a defeat, or they didn't have a good game, or they didn't have a good experience, and they just need a shoulder to cry on, or hear someone, have someone to talk to about that experience. This is why that's important. This is why fathers and sons having real conversations is only done by some. And I will tell you, I'm excited about this season on the show. So some of the other things that we're going to talk about are there's an article that I have on these 13 topics children wish their father brought up. Uh-oh. That's going to be some interesting things. Okay. We're going to talk about those 13 things here this season on the show. We can't give it to y'all in one night, in one day, in one show. So you just need to be prepared to, on Saturday mornings, just get you a cup of coffee, get you a bottle of water, get you some tea, whatever you need, and just come and listen to Done by Some, but Cedrick and Patrick. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to have a good experience. You're going to enjoy it. And share this with a father or son that you may know. There may be a young man that's sitting at home and he's fatherless. And we can be that encourager for him. We're going to talk about those type of situations. We're going to have those situations where it could be a father that really wants to spend time with their kids, but for whatever legal reason they can't. Right? You may have a father that's out there that they are home with their son, but they just don't have that relationship with them, and they want to overcome that. Well, guess what? They need to tune in, because we're going to help them with those type things. Men don't talk enough to each other. And in order to raise up a good young man, he needs to have a father in his life to help him understand how to be a good man, right? Remember the quote I said earlier from 𝗵𝘃𝗵𝗶𝗿. To be a good man, you must first see a good man or two. That quote right there encapsulates what we're going to be doing and what we're going to be talking about on Done by Some. So make sure you'll see my email scrolling across the screen. Make sure you reach out to us and let us know if you want to be a guest on the show. If there's a show topic that you want to, something you want to talk about on the show, make sure you reach out to us. Let us know how we can help. We want to be that voice for the voiceless. We want to help those fathers and sons. Patrick, anything else you want to say?
We're going to be authentic, just like you said. This is going to be awesome. Hopefully we have you guys listening, being attentive, asking questions, because we look forward to answering them and growing as humans, just getting out of our comfort zone, growing as humans, and just being there, being present, being in the moment, because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you. Now, before we leave tonight, we want to also share with you some 5 essential ways fathers influence their sons, right? That's just important. I ran across this and I was like, wow, this is some really good stuff. And so let me tell you the first one. It says 6, meaning the age of 6, is that magic age for dads, right? And what he's saying is he broke up a boy's development into groups. He says from ages 0 to 6, he said in the early years, boys need their mother more. Dads matter, and they can be involved and help create a close bond of love and security, but it's a mother who is more of the center of a boy's life. Then from 6 to 14, he said that's the dad's stage. It's around that 6-year-old that boys first discover on a more intellectual level that they are male. They look around for the role model to learn what this entails, and it's the age that the boys turn to their fathers as their primary family. So really, that's when you start having to be that strong male figure in your son's life. And then from 14 to 18, he said hormones have kicked in with the arrival of puberty, with a staggering 800% increase in testosterone level. So you know what that means. Boys tend to face a time of volatility as they move from boyhood toward manhood. They start thinking differently. They start doing things differently. They start responding differently. Their voice changes. Those are pivotal ages for boys. So I'm going to stop right there. Patrick, a question for you around this. I'm not even asking you about your early years because you probably, most people don't remember those early years. But when you were in your teen years, did there have ever come a time or something that you felt that, hey, I really need my dad for this?
I mean, the only thing in my teen years, I really just cared about sports. So it's really, I mean, it's really just more.
Are you saying you didn't come to me for sports?
Man. Not like technical things, but
okay.
more like the drive. And I think it was that, like, it was more of the drive of saying, like, you need to get out there every day and do this, this, and this. Especially for like basketball, I would always ask you for like, well, what drills do I need to do? And you say, okay, you need to do this, this, and this, and you write down the printer paper, and we put it on my wall. You say you need to do it every day, and then every time you do, you need to like do a check mark or something, say it's done, and then I'll go do it. And every day you come to me and say, let me see your fingertips. And then if they were black, I did good. If they weren't, then you did something wrong. You dribbling with your palms. So it was that type of stuff, like the drive and like the kind of the work ethic type of thing. You kind of just drilled in my head. So that type of stuff is kind of what I looked up to you for, because I knew you always talk about being in the band. You always talk about you used to practice 24/7, no matter what day it was. You just go out there and practice for no reason. If you thought about it, you go practice. So those type of principles were kind of what I looked up to you for.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting because work ethic in anything carries over to everything, right? Meaning the way you do some things is going to way you're going to do everything, right? It's either you're all in or you're all out. Some people, well, I'm about 80% in. I'm going to do it sometime. No, because if you do that, then what's going to happen is you're going to do that all the time with everything. And you're never going to commit to being great at everything and doing those things that's going to stretch you and make you wiser, stronger, faster, and better. Right. So I'm going to share the second one with you, but then I'll save the other words for another show. Right. Because today we want to introduce the show to you and get you involved in the show and let you know we're looking for men and sons and uncles and grandfathers. Sorry, ladies, this is about the men. We're looking for fathers, sons, grandfathers, uncles, cousins, male cousins who want to be a guest on the show, or they may have some input on the show. They might have a topic that they'd like us to talk about. And as Patrick said earlier, we're going to be having real conversations. Real men, real fathers and sons having real conversations. So the second thing is 5 ways that fathers influence their sons is by this DDD, if you will. It's called dad deficit disorder. One-on-one time makes all the difference in the world. See, the most important way fathers influence their sons is simply by spending time with them, right? And there are a lot of cases out there that show that when fathers and sons spend time together, they create bonds that can never be broken. And there's a study that's out that's Steve Biddulph did, and it was a number of cases where fathers and son relationships showed how if the father, well, let me backtrack just a little bit. Hold on a second. What he did was he said when fathers don't give enough attention to their sons, they tend to misbehave and they cut up more, right? So in this study, he started talking. He was looking at sons' behavior when the father was not around, and the son was looking for really reaching out for help in those type of situations. And he found a number of cases when this behavior resolved when the father put aside the time to be with the son, to focus on them, to talk to them, to play with them. He says boys need time to build a relationship with their father, to understand him and to learn from him what it means to be a male, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a father. And I know we all, as fathers, hope that what we are doing, that our actions are showing our son how to be a man, how to be responsible, how to be responsive. You know, I share a lot of stuff with both my kids, but I share a lot of stuff, especially with my son, on what I do, why I do it. You know, I show him when I was working my paycheck. I show him my accounts so that he understands and see why I always talk about it so important. And I want to set the example and let him know if he works hard, he too can do those things. You see, if we never model, and modeling is about not just some physical, it's a physical thing, it's about showing, right? And we'll talk about this, Patrick, during the show. You know, times where, you know, I show, hey, look, hey, here's our 401k. Here's what our account looks like. Here's what my check looks like. Here's what a bonus looks like. And we'll talk about that during one of the shows. What was the impact to you? What did you think about that? What was your experience with that and all that type of stuff, right?
That study was interesting. Which I had a question was, is there such thing as, so they were saying you don't spend enough time. Can you spend too much time?
Wow, that's a good question. Wow, that's a really good question. Well, let me, I guess I'm going to ask you, would there be, for you as a son, what would you consider as too much time?
I mean, me as a kid, I don't think there's too much time. I think there's not enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, but that's a really good question. Maybe hey folks, see, maybe that's a question that we have to research and come back and do a show on. Is there a negative to spending too much time with your kids? Well, maybe the negative is you never go to work because you spend all your time with your kids. Then you're gonna be out in the streets, and your son gonna say, "Don't spend time with me. Go to work." There you go. That could be the that could be the answer right there, right? But that's a really good question. Maybe that's something that we should also write down and do a show on that, or part of a show on that. What are the impacts of that, right? So this is done by some folks. I'm excited about the show. Patrick, hopefully you're still excited about the show now that we've done the first one here.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm always excited.
You are always excited. And see, folks, we could do the show once every week, but I got to get on Patrick's calendar. He's just a busy guy. He's always doing something. I love it, but he is always busy doing something, going somewhere. He's, like he said, he likes being out and networking and all this type of stuff. He's definitely networking a lot since he's been back here in the city of Houston. So
Yeah,
I love
if I ain't busy, I feel like I'm missing something.
Well, that's a good thing. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, Done by Some, starting the first full show is going to be starting February 5th at 9 a.m. Central Time. Make sure you tune in, share this with someone. You know someone that needs this, right? They could be a teenager, they could be in college, maybe they're just working every day. Share this, share this, share this. It's going to be live on my Facebook page, my LinkedIn, and my YouTube page. And I'll make sure that we put those links in the comments so that you can then share that with people, because we want them to get something out of the show. So thank you guys for tuning in. Patrick, before I leave, just want to make sure if you had anything else to say.
Don't. Share, listen, and let's learn together.
Awesome. And always remember, done by some. Thank you guys.